Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel in the first place. Today we have Saw You in a Dream, chapters 18 through 20. This is the final video for this series unless the author continues. It's by Fiction Please on AO3. The link will be in the description, and let's go ahead and get into it. On your way up the stairs, you saw an orange tabby cat lounging in the hall. Deja vu hit you like a truck. You could have sworn you've seen one just like it. You shook your head. Of course you'd seen one like that. Cats live everywhere. Soon you were back in your temporary room, tossing your bag on the floor. Katsuki stretched, taking a look out your window. Satisfied, he turned back and flopped onto your comforter. Reaching over, he took the remote from your nightstand and flipped through shows on Netflix. The cat took up space on the edge of the bed, and Katsuki subconsciously scratched behind its ear with his other hand. Tired and still distracted by the sight of your mom, you took the spot next to him. There was a good amount of space between you two. You stayed still, hands in your lap, eyes watching the TV. He put on some random action movie, not sure what you liked to watch, and not feeling like asking. I did my part, he thought. Enough charity for today. You couldn't shake seeing your mom cry. Not only was she crying, but she was clearly venting, most likely about her feelings. For the past couple of months, you never saw her express any emotions, other than her occasional outburst and that one day when she was really chipper. Could you have done more? Maybe been there for her? More than you already were. Maybe she was right. Maybe you were just a selfish person. You took a breath, blinking away the fast-moving scenes on the screen. Katsuki rolled his eyes out of your view, clicking a button. He paused it. What's wrong? You looked over. What do you mean? He gave you a flat look. I can practically hear all your overthinking. Your eyes widened. Are you really that easy to read? Oh, sorry. I'm actually thinking of going down to see if my mom needs anything. So that's what this is about, he thought. He dismissed your reply. Don't worry about what's happening downstairs. They're doing their own thing. He paused, thinking. Do you have a favorite show? You nodded. Of course, who doesn't? He tossed the remote to you. Don't get smart with me. Hurry up and put it on. He laid back down, propping his head up with his arms. You took it and found your show. Scrolling through, you went to the correct episode, the one where all the characters have to come together and train for their big upcoming game. You loved watching their funny interactions and quick remarks to one another. You smiled and pulled a loose blanket over. As it grew darker and darker outside, your eyes got heavier and heavier. Not thinking about anything else, you drifted off. A new scent hit your nose. It was reminiscent of a new bookstore, ink fresh on the page. There were torches set up around the grand room you found yourself in. They lit up a space filled with tables and shelves. You were seated at one of the tables, candlelit at the center. Seconds later, Katsuki appeared in the chair next to you. His outfit was different again. Instead of having a hefty cape, he wore a dark green sweater with a white collared shirt underneath. Looking down, you noticed his hands were decorated with rings, mostly silver ones. Your eyes caught onto the specific band that had a red gem set in the middle, just like your necklace. The Dreamworkers just love to give you matching jewelry, huh? He didn't notice you staring, too busy looking over the room, but when he finally did look at you, his gaze widened. You should have known. You also had a wardrobe change. You wore a light brown turtleneck with a darker toned cardigan thrown over the top, along with corduroy pants. They had fancy metal buttons, each one stamped with a unique image. Oh, you remarked. It brought him out of his stupor, and he shook his head, hair fluffing around his face. Pushing out from the table, you walked over to one of the shelves with your hands in your pockets. He watched in silence, and you looked back, beckoning him over. You said there's no Horimiya on these shelves. He walked over and nudged your shoulder, causing you to stumble. So sad. He turned his head to the side, trying to read the spines of the displayed books. Getting closer, you realized they weren't books at all. Instead, the cases were full of plastic binders, labeled in nondescriptive titles. Taking and opening a random one, a holographic mirage began playing out before you. It was you, at the trunk of your car, the day you all got to Katsuki's house. You watched as the perspective got closer and closer, until a hand reached out and started hauling in your luggage. Katsuki's hand, everything about it was the same as you remembered, except you weren't seeing it from your eyes, you were seeing it from his. The walk up to the room, the awkward triad conversation, then him confiding to his room. Before you could see what happened next, the binder was slammed closed. His hands were over your own, soft skin brushing against calloused. His red eyes met yours, amazement at what this library is truly filled with, but also anxiety that you were going to see something you shouldn't. He took it from you and slid it back into place on the shelf. You turned back to scan the labels, trying to find anything recognizable. Seeing one with the word concert, you watched the new memory. This time, it was yours, as you had suspected. You were sitting on your bed, hands holding the tickets for a concert you weren't expecting to go to, but had desperately wanted. Your mom sat across, legs folded beneath her, eyes soft and smile sweet. Katsuki watched too, looking from the image to see your reaction. A corner of your lips lifted, and you put the binder back, promptly ending the thought. I need to talk to her, you mumbled, looking at the ground, hands still on the spine. He wanted to reach out, wanted to console you in some way, but everything he could think to say wasn't good enough. He should have known that him just being there was a bigger comfort than you could express. Doing a slow spin, you soaked in the sheer number of shelves. So, a library full of our memories. That's a new one, you said quietly. He nodded, now also browsing. A certain label caught your eye. It read, Last Place. It was another one of Katsuki's. He was on the floor of a large arena. The loud cheers came through and sounded even louder in the otherwise silent room. He was gripping the shirt of another boy who had white and red hair. His knuckles were pale around the fabric, so full of energy and emotion. He watched as the boy slowly closed his eyes, peaceful face set on not waking up for a while. Katsuki shook him, trying to wake the boy, but it was futile. Then, out of nowhere, a pink fog filled his vision, and immediately he was asleep as well, causing the memory to fade to black. That was the day. His voice was from behind you. He knew what you had stumbled upon and wanted it to play out, wanted you to see what he saw, what no one but him, and now you, had experienced. Sure, the stands were full of people, but all they had seen was a pent-up boy who wanted to cause violence, not a boy who simply wanted an actual win, something tangible, something to prove all his efforts were not in vain, only to be handed a gold medal and a muzzle and chains. But you knew him well enough by now to understand his true intentions. Right as you were going to respond, the floor fell from beneath you. You were scrambling in the air, flailing until your body jerked awake. You landed on the floor. Katsuki was asleep above you on the bed, legs sprawled right where you previously were. You two must have knocked out and had an unintentional sleepover. Resisting the urge to kick him awake too, you rubbed the sleep out of your eyes and decided to go wash up. Once you were awake, it was hard to go back to sleep. It was now early morning. You could tell from the smell of coffee below, and the sound of people talking above a TV newscaster. You were about to walk into the bathroom when you overheard a certain conversation that floated up. Brushing your teeth could wait. Katsuki's point of view. You were falling asleep. Your eyes kept fluttering closed and then blinking open again. There was a stray piece of hair that sat against your eyelashes, and he stopped himself from reaching over and brushing it away. Stop being like that, he thought. Enough with the cheesy ideas and caring. This person is a stranger. He barely knew them. So why did he feel so relaxed around you? Why did he have to put work into not getting closer, physically or emotionally? Seeing Izuku with you just made him upset, disgustingly jealous, until he figures out the reason for his weird feelings. He's decided to suppress them. The TV show you put on was good though. He needed to remember to add it to his watch list. He noticed the new necklace you were wearing as soon as he opened the door when you knocked earlier. Relentlessly, it would catch his eye and gleam in the light. It was annoying, but it did add a nice touch to you, bringing out the tone of your skin against the pendant. It also caused the curve of your collarbone to be accentuated. He brought a hand up and rubbed his eyes. Suppress Katsuki, he thought. This isn't suppressing. No more thinking about your soft collarbone, or how it led to your neck and then to your jaw, a jawline he thought a bit too much about, and he really wasn't thinking about your lips. No, not at all, about how perfect they were for you, how they quirked up slightly when you found something funny but wouldn't say what, or how they would move in a straight line when you felt conflicted, not focusing on showcasing your emotions. Now asleep, your breathing was steady. He closed his eyes and found it easier than usual to slip off into sleep. You looked astounding. He'd have to thank whoever was in charge of the dreams, because they very obviously knew something about fixing up outfits. He watched your eyes jump from item to item, the candlelight causing your eyes to seem alight with curiosity, as you got up and started inspecting the special binders. He couldn't help but wonder what was going on in your mind. He wanted to know every little thought you had, no matter how minuscule. Now under the drape of the dream and holes in memory filled, he understood why his heart was so inclined to you. Forget the fact that you were soulmates though. He had a feeling you'd be drawn to each other either way. This way though, the world made it a bit easier and added a dreadful twist. It gave the opportunity for conversations and experiences, but then ripped them away the minute you're not under its thin curtain of sleep. He kept his eyes on you as Todoroki filled the holographic space. Your eyebrows were close together, lips slightly parted like you wanted to say something, but were too invested in the scene unfurling. And when you poofed out of existence, he groaned. He hated how you always managed to slip through his fingers. These past few months have been some of the roughest of my life. I can tell listeners seeing through the cracks. They notice how much control I'm losing. I wouldn't be surprised if they despised me. Anytime I think I have them figured out, I say the wrong thing. I don't... Her hiccuped voice was cut off by Mitsuki's strong and reassuring one. Hun, take a breath. She placed a steaming mug in front of your mom. We went over this last night. Everything will turn out fine. Your mom nodded in response. As she lifted her head, she caught your eyes peeking out at the top of the stairs. Hers widened and you stepped out, knowing you had been found out. She hung her head, hair falling in sheets around her face, the tips brushed against the glass table. Mitsuki saw you walking closer and decided to give your mom one last pat on the back and take her leave. You smiled at her and she winked back, giving a single caring glance back at the woman seated before you. Her eyes were bloodshot, hair obviously disarranged from pulling and teasing. Her hands were slightly trembling, and as you stopped in front of her, she exhaled, about to speak. Before she could even begin her sentence, you reached over and enveloped her in your arms. She felt small within them, and you breathed in the scent of home. She wrapped her arms around you as well, hands pulling you closer as if she was afraid you'd flit away or cease to truly be there. It's okay. We will be okay. Your words were quiet. Saying them out loud was as good of assurance to yourself as it was to her. Everyone dealt with the black spear of grief in different ways, and though you already knew that, reality was crashing around you like shards of glass. You were finally seeing your mom through a clean lens, all the fog and miscommunication wiped away with a cloth. When you both were composed, she let you know what was going through her mind during the last few months, and you did the same, with nothing to steal away either of your attention, work or school, just 2 examples. Everything was easy to get out in the open. By the time you two finished talking, the sun was fully up, and the room was significantly brighter than before. Masaru nodded as he walked by before retreating into the kitchen, the sound of ground coffee following soon after. You gave your mom a soft smile, and she gave your hand a quick squeeze before walking up into her room. Moving places, you went from the dining table to the living room and took up residence on the couch. As you scrolled mindlessly through your phone, feed full of perfectly angled pictures and fan art that made your heart skip a beat, the furry companion from earlier jumped up on the seat beside you. It sat up next near your thigh, tail flicking once before falling flat, now occupied with giving the brown-eyed cat. Its eyes almost reminded you of little acorns, his well-deserved little scritches and scratches. You startled at the bright-sounding chime coming from the front door. Something hit it on the outside, and you watched as Mitsuki brought in a cardboard box. A package. She leaned over to read the name inside. Her voice got 10 notches louder as she said, "Katsuki, it's here." Not even a minute later, a puffy and sleepy-eyed Katsuki came barreling down the stairs. That wasn't even the most surprising thing. What did really catch your attention was his huge and real smile. He grabbed the box, trying and failing at opening it with his bare hands. Mitsuki saw you sitting on the couch, and her eyes lowered to the napping cat on your lap. She clicked her tongue, waking him up. "Come on, Finny, it's about time to eat." He got up at her voice and did a huge stretch on top of you, spine rising and fur spiking before sauntering his way to the bowl. "Finny," you mouthed, glad to put a name to the familiar, lightly striped animal. Somehow, Katsuki heard and corrected you while finding a pair of scissors for the package. "His name is Finnegan." You rolled your eyes at his serious tone. You watched as he pulled out a slick, white smaller box with a picture of a well-known logo etched on the front. A gaming console? You'd seen a few TikToks here and there with people raving about how great it is. He kept ripping everything open, and you inwardly cringed, hoping he wouldn't break anything. When Mitsuki caught sight of him pulling everything out, she popped her head out of the kitchen. "You can play Mario Kart on that thing, right?" Katsuki huffed, leaning back on his knees. "Yeah, you can." Then his eyes narrowed in suspicion. "Why?" She lifted her mug towards you. "You should hook it up and play with Listener." His head swiveled from her to you, shrugging. "If they want," he said, voice taking on a cocky edge. You gave a shrug back, and he brought everything over, switching wires and cords around until the screen flashed as white as the box earlier. A login bar popped up, and soon enough you were both holding controllers, and the starting horn beeped 3 times. You and Katsuki took off down the course, successfully cutting the first couple corners. Collecting a colorful floating item box, you got a red turtle shell, He had managed to get in front of you, and you grinned as you let go of the shell and watched it hit his character. You honked your horn as you passed, and you could see his frowning face in your peripheral vision. The 3 in-game rounds went by one, and right at the last second, you flew through the finish line before him. He came in a close second, and he said nothing else but, "Best 2 out of 3. You gave him a firm nod in reply, keeping the same character and car. This time, he won. The course he chose was against you in every way. All the turns were quick and sharp, and every time you fell off the map, he was gathering more power-ups. Safe to say, he got a point for that one. Then, the last match was a close one. Each of you had difficulty with it, but you managed to get the win. Never one to go down without fighting, Katsuki turned to you with fire in his eyes. Best out of 10. The rest of the day was spent with you both rotating through different sitting positions on the couch, and taking a snack break every couple of hours. It's Mitsuki who pulls you out of the addicting effects of Mario Kart. She tells you two to come sit at the table. Dinner was ready. Outside, the grass is wet and the sky is dark. Sheets of rain come down in waves. One second, it's pounding on the roof, and the next, it's silent. Either way, it looks like it's going to be a rainy evening. You took the seat across from Katsuki, who was already picking at his food. With everyone eating, the sounds of rain were amplified, setting a calming ambiance. So, Katsuki, your mom was telling me about how you go to some famous hero school. Your mom was the first to speak up, and Katsuki met your eye before hers. After the last couple of days, you two were getting along better than before, and he didn't hide in hours in his bedroom, at least not anymore. Yeah, I do, he confirmed. Your mom smiled, nodding over to you. I was thinking of what a good idea it would be if listener transferred there, after we've fully moved in and all. You stopped eating, and she turned down toward the table, awaiting your reaction. You shrugged. Sure, I mean, I already know someone there, right? You added some excitement in your words, and avoided Katsuki's questioning gaze. You couldn't handle it if he contradicted you right now. Finding a positive to moving away from everyone and everything you knew was already hard enough. Mitsuki spoke before he could. Exactly, I even heard there's an extra spot in his class because someone got kicked out. She leaned forward. Apparently the teacher had had enough of this kid. That pervert got what he deserved, Katsuki mumbled under his breath. Anyways, Mitsuki said, shooting at him a death glare, it means you should be able to get in no problem. You nodded while your mom started asking more questions about the school. The rest of dinner went by with usual chatter, and after cleaning up, you went to head back to your room. Halfway up the stairs, you overheard Katsuki's voice. Have you seen Finnegan? His bowl is empty, but I haven't seen him since earlier. When his mom replied no, you heard him storm out of the house, slamming the door. Lingering, you thought of going out to see if he was okay. Would he yell at you to leave him alone? Maybe, but maybe not. Things were different now. You played Mario Kart together, and that's classic friend behavior. Taking a breath, you went back down and out the door, letting the parents know you'd return soon. They waved you off, and you found Katsuki sitting outside on the front step of his porch. Water was dripping down the roof's overhang, barely missing his face. You didn't have to come out here, he said dryly. You sat down next to him, watching the dark clouds above you. And you didn't have to slam the door. Is Finnegan out here? You asked, eyes already searching the yard. He nodded. He loves hanging out here, but I'm worried about him being out here in the rain, and he's never been out for so long. He ran his fingers through his hair, grabbing the ends. He thought fast. Let's go look for him, he said with much more confidence than you were feeling. He looked over. In the rain? He stood up, holding out a hand. The heavy stuff stopped, so it's just drizzling now. We'll find him in no time." He huffed, briefly taking your hand and starting down the sidewalk. He followed. Off in the distance, thunder rumbled with vicious fury. "So, how long have you had Finnegan?" You tried to get him out of his head. Now he was the one with the loud thoughts. "Ever since I was little, I guess. But he hates strangers, so it was new to see that he got used to you so quickly." He smirked at you, already knowing you'd love hearing it. You straightened your shoulders. "Wasn't new to me. Animals always love me," you replied cocky. He rolled his eyes and drawled, "Sure." You saw something out of the corner of your eye. A very cat-shaped figure jumped into an alley. You changed direction, running over to see if it was Finnegan. When you crossed the street, you didn't realize how slick the sidewalk would be. That, coupled with a large crack in the cement, had you tripping and falling face first into the path, inches away from the soft grass. Groaning, you pushed yourself up on your elbows. Katsuki was running over now too. Instead of eating cement like you did though, he took an arm and helped you stand again. You brought a hand up to your face, trying to clear away any dirt. He was staring at the side of your face. "What, is there something on me?" You began wiping away even harder. He stopped you, shaking his head. No, you just scratched yourself bad. We should head back." Bad was an understatement, and he knew it. Somehow, you'd managed to cut open your face from the middle of your cheek to the edge of your ear. Basically, your whole cheekbone was bleeding. Ignorant to it and being still semi-hyped up on adrenaline, you didn't notice the pain. Not yet. You turned, careful with your steps now. Peeking into the long, dark alley, you saw the light brown cat sitting on a window ledge, licking his paws without a care in the world. Sighing, you went over and picked him up. He meowed but let you carry him back. You handed him to Katsuki, who had wide eyes. Thank you," he said. You waved it off, already walking back to the house. He had caught up with you. Suddenly, it was as if the whole sky opened its floodgates. With a single crack of lightning, water started coming down so hard, it was almost impossible to see where your next step would land. You flinched at the thunder that followed, instinctively reaching out and grasping Katsuki's arm. He led the way now, not saying anything about how you never let go. Finally, back at the house, you both stepped in. It was a soggy walk to the kitchen, where Katsuki told you to stay and wait while he grabbed something. Finnegan paid no mind to either of you, simply shook off his dripping wet fur and went to his bed. Katsuki came back with bandages and a towel. He ushered you to come to the table and handed you the towel to wrap yourself in. "So," he began, "I may have lied about the severity of your fall." He saw you start to stand up, but kept you sitting. "You'll be fine, it just needs some cleaning. Relax," you hesitantly replied. "Okay, and I'm guessing that's why you showed up with those?" You glanced at his hand. "Yeah, it'll only take a second, so try to stay still," he said firmly. You rolled your eyes, lip turning up. He also brought a wet cloth, and you jerked your head away with clenched eyes when it met your skin. "It burns," you said. He just nodded, trying again. This time he was softer, watching and making sure it didn't hurt. When he got all the dirt and dry blood off, he unraveled the gauze. He got closer to your face, doing his best to get the whole injury covered in one go. Towards the end of your face, he realized your hair covered part of it. He pushed your loose and still wet strands away from your shoulder to your back. Then he leaned away, confirming everything looked okay. While inspecting your face, his eye caught onto your earrings. He had noticed your necklace already, but he hadn't seen these. How? He didn't know. Because now that he was looking at them, it was like he was always meant to notice them, always meant to catch their red glare from across the room. always meant to know about them. You saw him staring again at your earrings. "Where do you get those?" he asked, mind clearly somewhere else. You laughed, lifting a hand to your ear to better show them off. "Why, want your own pair?" You watched as he didn't react to your joke. He frowned, confused. When his hand raised and brushed against the ruby stone, you gasped. He froze. Millions of snapshots rang through behind your eyes, like unlocking a too-far-to-reach door that was now within arm's length. The jagged cliff with water for miles, the sun setting over the horizon time and time again, getting stuck in the forest, Katsuki coming back to kill those weird little creatures, helping him and fixing him up just like he did for you, laying in the grass beside him, and realizing you didn't mind spending longer than a night together, jumping in the cold water after him, falling asleep with your hand in his. You blinked, taking his hovering hand. You looked at his face, really looked at it. It was him, your soulmate. One and the same. Suddenly, it seemed insane to think that it was anyone other than Katsuki. He stopped staring, meeting your huge eyes. He laughed, a giddy feeling bubbling up in your chest. He smiled, softly laughing along with you. You squeezed his hand, jumping up. "We remember, Katsuki. It's you." You looked up at him, soaking him in like you had just met, had just truly seen him in all clarity. Nodding once, he repeated, "It's you." He was significantly quieter, almost lost in wonder. No more timed meetings, no more having to worry if you'll ever meet, no more waking up and feeling the memories slip away. They would stay now, and so would he. As the clouds outside drifted further and further apart, the light sun rays creeped through the open windows. You couldn't help thinking, maybe moving here wouldn't be so bad after all. 3 years later. "You ready? Tomorrow's the day," he asked, looking over from the familiar sunset before you two, sitting on the familiar cliff that welcomed you two every night. He smiled, legs pulled to your chest, hands clasped in front of them. You subconsciously fiddled with your jewelry. After that day, a couple years back, when it all clicked into place, the earrings vanished. You looked for days, thinking maybe they fell off somewhere, but it was to no avail. Then, last year, Katsuki surprised you with a new pair that had a small stone embedded on the front. It was the same red as his eyes, the same red as your old earrings. "Ready as ever," you replied, sighing and feeling content. It was time, you realized. Edges of your eyesight were getting blurry, the sun was rippling, and the water seemed to flow backwards. The breeze flew through, ruffling your hair and his. "Make sure to remember," you said, your version of goodbye before waking up. He grinned. How could I ever forget? The school was full of people, all your friends and classmates, and all their family. You saw Mina and Kirishima across the room. They saw you too and waved enthusiastically. Mina mouthed, "You look hot." You shook your head with a smile and said back, "You too." She pretended to blush and laughed before walking away. Since it was graduation day, uniforms weren't required, so you decided to take the chance and run with it. After years of the same outfit, you figured it was well-deserved. Jiro was close by, sitting at a table, and you joined her. "Hey Kyo." He loved her makeup, wishing you had as precise of a hand as she did. "Nice eyeliner." She smiled. "Nice hair." In truth, your mom had to help with it. Getting it to be equal on both sides and stay put wasn't easy. Your hair tended to have a mind of its own. You thanked her. Katsuki slid into the seat beside you, fiddling with the suit his mom shoved him in. He had already thrown off the actual suit, and now just wore a white shirt with one button undone at the top, and a tie he was working on loosening. "Hey," you stopped him from further messing it up. He looked up, smirking. He looked toward your shoulder. "I think you have something." He leaned in, pretending to pick something off the fabric of your shirt. When he was close enough, though, he whispered, "You look nice." You could feel his breath on your neck. You laughed, whispering back, "So do you, Mr. Businessman." He pulled back, groaning, I know, but there was no convincing her. Going back to pull at his tie, he looked down and picked at your nails. "Hey, you alright?" he softly asked. You nodded, realizing you were chipping your already chipped nail polish. "Just wish he was here to see." Katsuki took your hand, squeezing it. "Me too, but imagine how proud he'd be, knowing you were one of the top 3 of UA." He spoke with true admiration towards you. "Who knows, maybe you'll even be the number 2 hero." You punched his shoulder playfully. "Why, because you'll be number 1? He shrugged, sarcastically smug. "Of course." You nodded, pretending to fully agree. The announcer stepped up to the podium right then. He gave his long spiel about what an amazing school year it was, and finally he began calling the names and assigning awards. You sat there nervous, but prepared for whatever life had in store, because sure, it took a lot for you to get here, but you never did it alone. Moving was as much a change as you expected, if not more, and yet everyone at the new school let you in with open arms and friendly faces. Katsuki was always there too, of course. He was there at your dorm with takeout on the nights you stayed up till dawn studying for an exam. He was there waking you up at 6 a.m. for training, and then taking you out for breakfast later. He was there when the old memories would overwhelm you, memories of your dad, not helping, but wondering how things could have been. Those moments were fleeting though. They never lasted long, and lately they've been fewer and far in between. So even if life was bumpier from here, it didn't matter. Katsuki had you, and you had him. Cheesy as that sounded. You think back to being told it would be weird at first, but now, in this moment, seeing his dopey grin and crooked tie, you couldn't have felt more complete. Alright, that's the end of this one. I hope you enjoyed. I just want to say thank you all so much for sticking around for this entire series if you are here and listening. Honestly, I loved it, and I hope you did too. I'm getting a bit emotional with the end of it, but that's fine. I don't know if the author is going to write not necessarily more parts, but you'll see if they do actually happen. I'm super excited. Sad this is ending, as I said, but I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, whatever, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye!